You know that feeling, right? Like you're just drowning in information.
Oh, yeah.
Articles, reports, videos, social media. It's just stuff everywhere.
It is. It's
And
overwhelming.
trying to feel genuinely well-informed, like you've really got it, without spending hours and hours sifting through it all, man, it's tough.
It really is. And that overwhelm can actually stop you from even starting sometimes.
Totally. You see the pile, and you just think, where do I even begin?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. But what if? What if there were, new tools coming out that could actually help cut through all that noise?
Tools to help manage it.
Yeah, get you to the valuable insights faster, specifically from your stack of sources. It's kind of what we're diving into today.
Okay.
We've got this source that talks about two specific AI research tools, Perplexity and NotebookLM, and how, you can actually use them together.
So a combo approach.
Right, to process information you bring to the table.
What's interesting there is the idea of not just one tool, but a workflow, leveraging their different strengths to get deep into your material.
Yeah. So the mission for this deep dive is really to unpack this source, right?
Just to do it.
To show you how, according to this article, these specific tools can help you take your sources, whether you're prepping for a meeting, learning something totally new, or doing research for really anything.
Right. Any kind of knowledge work.
Gather more around it, analyze your core material, and ultimately, boost whatever project you're working on by finding those key insights within that material.
It sounds like it's about efficiency, but also focus. Getting insights from the documents you actually care about.
Exactly. Without getting lost in the wider web or having the AI, make stuff up.
Right. The hallucination problem.
Yeah. And the core concept this source teases is pretty simple, but I think powerful. One tool for casting a wide net, helping you gather sources.
Yeah, as a discovery phase.
And the other for really focused analysis, using only the material you brought in.
Which directly tackles that major issue with large language models, the hallucinations.
Definitely.
When they just invent answers based on their massive training data instead of sticking to what's actually in front of them.
The dreaded hallucinations. Okay, so the idea here, according to the source, is you use a tool like Perplexity for that initial broad sweep.
Finding reports, articles, maybe even discussions on forums, videos.
It's super fast at discovering potentially relevant sources online.
Right. But then when you need to analyze your specific documents reliably.
That's where the second tool comes in, NotebookLM.
Yes. NotebookLM is designed, supposedly, to answer only from the sources you import. It builds a sort of knowledge base just from your files or links.
Okay, so that's the key difference then. Perplexity helps you find stuff out there, maybe even organize potential sources.
Yeah, the gathering part.
But when you need to analyze your stack, the reports, the articles, the notes you've collected reliably, NotebookLM is meant to be the laser-focused one.
Right. Supposedly minimizing those hallucinations because it's strictly grounded in your stuff. It doesn't look outside that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Exactly. So when you combine them, you get the best of both worlds, potentially.
Broad data collection from Perplexity to help build your source list.
And then that focused, hopefully accurate analysis from NotebookLM, grounded purely in those specific sources you selected.
Right.
And the source says this makes them suitable for all sorts of projects, academic, business, creative. Seems pretty versatile,
Yeah, I can see that. Use the wide net first, find the good stuff that's out there, then bring the important pieces into the, secure analysis zone.
The walled garden of your own information.
Yeah, that only talks about your material.
The source actually goes through some specific examples of how this combined approach can help you pull insights from different types of source stacks you might have.
Okay, sounds good. Let's unpack a few. What's the first one?
Market trend analysis. Let's say you've been tasked with understanding what's happening in a specific industry. Okay.
Maybe you've collected a bunch of recent reports and articles using something like Perplexity.
Right, like researching responsible AI trends. I've got these PDFs from consulting firms, maybe some research papers I found.
Perfect. So you used a tool, maybe Perplexity, to find those high-quality sources, searching for reports from Deloitte, McKinsey, published in the last year, let's say.
Got it. Gathered those links, downloaded the PDFs, that initial search and collection phase.
Exactly. Then you bring those specific reports and papers into NotebookLM.
Okay. Upload them.
Right. Now, instead of reading all 200 pages across 3 different reports, you can ask it questions based only on those documents.
And it's supposed to tell you what your sources say, not just a general web answer.
Precisely. Based on the stack of reports you provided on responsible AI, NotebookLM could tell you, for example, that your sources consistently highlight increased adoption and the growing importance of human-in-the-loop oversight as major shifts. And crucially, it should point to the specific sections in your documents where it found that info. Oh, well.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't just get a generic AI answer. I'd get an answer from my specific reports, like Deloitte mentions increased adoption on page 15, driven by regulatory pressures, while McKinsey discusses human-in-the-loop on page 32, emphasizing ethical considerations. Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's grounding the insights strictly in what your documents actually say.
Okay.
You can also ask it, based on those reports, what's driving companies to invest in this topic.
Right.
And it would pull out motivations mentioned in your sources, like regulatory pressures or maybe market demand, if those drivers are present in the reports you fed it.
And if my sources don't mention market demand?
NotebookLM shouldn't invent it. It should basically say, that's not mentioned in the provided documents.
That's the key difference, right? It won't guess. It just says, nope, not in this stack. Okay. Market trend analysis using curated sources. That seems powerful for getting specific answers from your research. What about another example?
How about product enhancement research? Imagine you're a product team. You've collected a bunch of user reviews for competing products, maybe related ones too.
Yeah, scrape from Capterra or G2, read some threads from Reddit, watch some YouTube reviews, that kind of thing.
Exactly. You've got this pile of user feedback and competitor reviews for, say, email marketing tools. You want to enhance yours.
Okay, got it. I've got my pile.
Great. So you've used tools, maybe Perplexity's focus search on review sites or Reddit, to gather those specific reviews and feedback. You got the text, the links, whatever you collected.
Found the good stuff. Check.
Then you bring all that user feedback data into NotebookLM.
All right.
Now you can start asking it to synthesize insights across all those individual reviews and pieces of feedback you imported.
Like, what are the common pain points customers mention across all these reviews?
Exactly. Based only on the stack of reviews you imported, NotebookLM could tell you that, across the board, users seem frustrated with technical glitches during setup. Or maybe limitations in the email design templates, or slow customer support. It's summarizing themes present in your specific source material.
Or I could ask, what specific features do users consistently mention as missing or desired to identify opportunities based on that feedback stack?
Totally. And here's where it gets really interesting according to the source.
Okay.
You can upload your own product's website page, maybe the main features page, into NotebookLM alongside all that competitor review data you gathered.
Oh, wow. So my stuff and their stuff, and then what?
And then you can ask NotebookLM, grounded in your product page and all that feedback, something like, suggest an improvement plan for our product's features or messaging based on this research.
Whoa.
It gives you tailored suggestions because it's comparing your offering, as described on your page, to the pain points and desires found in the feedback you provided.
That's pretty cool. Getting AI to give you concrete suggestions based on your stuff and the research you collected. It's not just summarizing. It's helping with the analysis and, application.
It really streamlines that phase, yeah. Another example they give is audience research.
Understanding your target audience. Okay, say I've got a stack of surveys, reports, articles about parents' needs for childcare services.
Perfect example. So you use something to find those recent surveys about working parents' needs, maybe research reports using specific site operators in Perplexity to focus on academic or organizational sources.
Right. Found the relevant PDFs and links.
You've collected them. Built up that knowledge base about the audience.
Got it.
Right. Now you bring all those surveys, reports, and studies into NotebookLM.
Okay.
And you can ask it to synthesize what your specific sources say about this audience.
Like, what are the biggest challenges parents mention about childcare, according to these surveys I uploaded?
Precisely. Based only on the documents you imported, NotebookLM could tell you that your sources highlight availability issues, maybe concerns about quality, or a perceived lack of learning programs as major challenges. It extracts these key points directly from your research.
Or I could ask, what are the primary considerations when parents choose a childcare service, according to these reports? To pull out factors like cost, location, convenience, maybe branding. Again, only if my sources actually mention them.
Exactly. And just like the product research example, you can upload your own childcare business website into NotebookLM alongside all that audience research.
Okay, so bring in my own site again with the research this time.
Yep. And then ask NotebookLM, grounded in your site content and all that audience research you gathered, suggest the top 3 changes to our homepage messaging based on this research.
Okay.
It might suggest things like prominently featuring information about flexible hours if the research you provided indicates that's a significant need parents mention, but your current site doesn't really highlight it.
Wow. And I could even ask maybe what needs highlighted in their research are not currently mentioned on our website that we could emphasize. To find things like, I don't know, learning philosophy or staff qualifications. If my research says parents care about that, but my site isn't featuring it prominently, that's wild.
It is.
It's like having an AI consultant analyze your website against market research you provided.
It really is. Audience research seems like a really strong use case for this kind of focused analysis on your own material.
Yeah, definitely. What about content creation?
Like planning a podcast, maybe?
Yeah. Okay, say I've got reviews of successful leadership podcasts, maybe some transcripts of popular episodes.
Perfect example. So you've used tools to find those top leadership podcasts, maybe gathered reviews from sites like Listen Notes, perhaps even downloaded some episode transcripts or show descriptions.
Right. Got my raw material on the competitive landscape and what's already out there.
Exactly. Now, you bring all those reviews, show descriptions, transcripts, whatever source material you've gathered into NotebookLM,
Okay.
and you ask it to analyze that specific content.
So I could ask it, how do these specific podcast shows describe their ideal listeners based on their show descriptions and reviews that I put in?
Precisely. Grounded only in the material you imported, it could synthesize descriptions of target audiences, specific job roles, experience levels, company types mentioned across the shows you provided.
It's analyzing my competitive intelligence file, essentially. And I can ask it to compare the positioning of these shows. What unique angles do they emphasize based on my input?
Totally. Based on your stack of show descriptions and reviews, NotebookLM could identify how different shows are carving out their niche.
Which helps me figure out how to position my leadership podcast to stand out.
Exactly. To stand out in that specific competitive set you researched, it seems super practical for content creators analyzing their space.
That is super practical. Okay, makes sense. Finally, there was a 5th use case mentioned.
Yeah, learning new subjects. Let's say you're diving into something totally new, like marketing psychology.
Oh, this is big for a lot of us. Just learning something complex from scratch. Okay, I've collected a bunch of articles, maybe some lecture transcripts, a few relevant podcast episodes on marketing psychology.
Great. So you've used tools, maybe searching Perplexity for entitle, marketing psychology, articles from trustworthy sites, finding relevant videos or podcast episodes, and collecting that material. You've got your learning stack.
Got my library built, ready to learn.
Right. Now you bring all those articles, transcripts, maybe links to videos. NotebookLM can process video transcripts too, apparently, into NotebookLM.
Okay.
This is where it can help you learn the material you gathered.
Now, does it just summarize it all?
It seems it can do more than just a simple summary. The source says NotebookLM has built-in features to generate things like a study guide and an FAQ based only on your imported sources.
Oh, wow.
You just click generate, apparently.
So it can actually structure the material I found, not just spit back text?
Yes. It's organizing and summarizing the key concepts within your specific learning materials. You could also ask it for, say, a beginner-friendly overview, using simple language and real examples from the sources you provided.
That sounds way better than just reading a dense textbook that might cover stuff I don't need right now. I'm getting a personalized summary based on the specific materials I curated.
Totally. You could ask it to summarize the top marketing psychology principles and how to apply them in marketing based on these sources.
Right.
It might explain principles like scarcity or anchoring bias with examples pulled directly from the articles or transcripts you imported.
And I could ask, show me examples from these documents of how companies use these psychological principles in business, like using scarcity to boost sales, if one of my articles discussed that specific tactic.
And again, you could upload your own website, let's say that childcare business site again, just for fun.
Okay, bring the childcare site back in.
And ask, how can these psychology principles, as explained in these sources I'm learning from, be applied to this website? It might suggest highlighting limited enrollment based on a scarcity principle explained in your learning material and showing how that applies specifically to a business like yours described on your site.
That's amazing. So it's not just explaining concepts from my sources, but helping me apply them immediately to my own context.
Yeah.
That connects the learning to action directly from the material I chose. That's powerful.
It really seems to be. It's leveraging AI to go beyond just finding information, but helping you analyze and synthesize insights from your specific stack and maybe even apply them.
Absolutely. So wrapping this up then, the core idea is that tools like Perplexity and NotebookLM, when used together in this kind of workflow, they offer a potentially powerful way to cut through that information overload by focusing on your material.
Yes. Perplexity helps you broaden your search and discover potential sources, cast that wide net.
Right.
But NotebookLM seems key for that focused, hopefully hallucination-resistant analysis grounded purely in the reports, articles, reviews, or whatever documents you select and import.
It really highlights the synergy, right? Use a wide net to gather, then take your specific catch and do a deep dive into that, relying only on what's in front of you in that tool.
Exactly. It's about cutting down the noise and getting straight to the important stuff, grounded in the materials you curated for your project or your learning goal.
So for you listening, think about your own projects, maybe your learning goals, maybe that stack of articles or reports sitting on your desk right now. Where could this kind of structured AI-assisted workflow, finding broader context, then analyzing your specific documents for insights, help you cut down the noise, get you straight to those key takeaways or action items from the material you actually care about?
It feels like a potentially significant shift in how we can approach information overload, allowing us to really leverage the specific research we've already gathered or curated.
Totally. And maybe here's something to ponder as these AI tools get smarter and more integrated into our workflows.
Okay.
How does our own role as the researcher or the learner really evolve? Are we just becoming like users of these tools, button pushers?
Interesting question.
Or does leveraging them effectively, especially this ability that the source highlights, to ground the analysis in our own chosen sources, actually make us better critical thinkers?
You mean better at curating quality sources in the first place?
Yeah, and better at synthesizing complex information, asking the right questions to pull out the truly valuable insights from our material.
It forces you to be more deliberate, perhaps, about what you feed it and what you ask it.
Maybe. Something to think about as you explore this stuff yourself.